Hello and welcome to Connection Fairs. Today is a very special episode because for the first time I am now recording this podcast on video as well. So now you can join my podcast on YouTube, which is a whole new platform for me. And I'm just excited to reach more people this way. And it's definitely going again out of my comfort zone for sure, showing my face here as you can see me. Hello. But I feel since I started my podcast I have been getting out of my comfort zone constantly, and sometimes it's a good thing. And I think part of our process to grow is to adapt to new ways. And yeah, this is me showing up in a different platform, a different way. And I have been getting used to, because I have to admit that now with Instagram, sometimes I stop to overthink it, and sometimes I just record myself even in English, which, as you know and as you can see and hear, is not my first language. So yes, anyways, I have been showing up on Instagram sometimes, showing my face, and it's been a practice. So here I am today. And it is a very busy time of the year. And I decided to make time to send you a brief, hopefully, a message about specifically that, about the craziest time of the year and presence. I want to chat with you today about presence and how we can manage to be really present in during this time for our kids and show up for our families, and at the same time as we have all the many things in our heads and our to-do list and things that we need to finish or want to finish or are hoping to finish before the year ends, and for Christmas and all the demands emotionally and mentally and physically of this time of the year. And I was thinking recently, and I wanted to share this thought with you, which has been very helpful actually for me, because oh my God, I used to, I grew up in Venezuela, as some of you know already, and then we've been living overseas for the last 15 years. And we, in majority, has been in the southern hemisphere in Australia, but for a while we live in London as well, where the seasons are different. So when my son, my oldest, started school in London, I remember clearly thinking about it, about this that I'm about to say. It's just like, about what? And it's the fact that when we were in London, I remember there were two moments throughout the year that were crazy, right? Because you had July, because June, July is the end of the school year and the beginning of summer. And you are very busy with the end of the year for your kids, and getting ready, gift for the teachers and going to the concerts or the show for the end of the year. And you are also getting ready for summer and planning what you're going to do for summer, and everyone has plans to go somewhere warmer for summer over there, or making so. And then you come back, you wait a couple of months, and then it's Christmas. And you focus on your Christmas time and your things that you need to get ready for Christmas, and create all the magic at home and get all the presents ready and get ready for the holidays and for the get-togethers for Christmas and all of that. And I remember when I was in London thinking how well balanced things were. And talking to my friends in Australia, saying this, how is it there? It must be very crazy with kids, because the difference, I think, was a lot more obvious, or is more obvious when you have kids, because of the whole end of the year of the school, which is in Australia at the same time as Christmas, at the same time as summer and everything. I remember thinking about it. And here I am. We moved back to Australia because we were in Australia, then London, UK, and then back to Australia. We moved back 5 years ago. So for the last 5 years, I have been living that I was afraid that I was going to have everything happening during this period of time. And if you put together the fact that I am a photographer and I work with families, and this is the busiest time for that business that I have as well, it is really crazy. And you know what? It can be really crazy. And one of the things that has happened to me personally is, since I moved from London back to Australia with kids now at school and everything, I have felt every year I fight against it and I complain a lot. It's everything happens at the same time. Why is it like this? And I keep saying the same thing to friends and to my husband. And this year I decided to simply accept how it is. And by complaining, I'm not going to change how things are here. By complaining, I'm not going to change how things by complaining, I'm not going to change how things are here. And it is better to make peace with it and to enjoy it, actually, because it's like how fun it is to have at the same time everything and focus on the celebration and that everything is happening at once, and enjoy the good weather and enjoy the concerts for the end of the year and the Christmas parties and the to-do list of the presents that we want to get and the photo shoots that I need to do and the podcast I want to record. So this year I decided to embrace it, and I have had a much better experience, I have to admit. But look at this, like, it's very interesting, and it's been interesting to analyze it this year more than others. So for my business in particular, for my photography business, I started scheduling like mini sessions because I work with families and kids, as I said. So I started scheduling mini sessions for late November. And I started promoting this like mid-year, and people I say, is it? Yeah, it is how it works with photographers. You start getting ahead of time and preparing. Anyways, I started with my shoots in November, and I wasn't that busy. I was just starting to work, getting ahead of things, planning my shoots here and then, and trying to get my editing ahead of time so everyone gets everything ready for Christmas. So I wasn't busy. But as soon as I got into this mood and I hadn't made my mind around the whole I'm going to be in peace with this situation idea that I just described before that, I felt so much agitated when I started with these shoots and getting into the season. I felt really agitated in the inside, like honestly, like palpitations even. It's like, I need to be busy. I think inside of me, I felt I needed to be busy. I felt it's like, this is how it's happening every other year. So this is it. I'm here already. I need to be busy. I'm feeling super busy. I'm feeling overwhelmed. And I started to freak out. And I wasn't even there. I wasn't that busy yet. Things weren't that crazy. We weren't doing many stuff for school. Like we were still like a month away from the actual busiest time. But because I started to have my shoots and I started to get into this mindset of like, oh my God, it's the craziest time of the year. Everything is going to be busy. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm not so busy. I got into that mindset, and therefore I felt like that. So we need to be very careful with the way that we explain these things to. So we need to be very mindful in the way that we tell things to ourselves, in the narrative that we fall into. So we need to be very mindful with the narrative that we get into, with the things that we tell ourselves, and those beliefs that we have that many times come just because it's the way that it should be or the way that it's been before. But when we get into those patterns, sometimes we are not even there yet. We are not that busy. We're not that stressed. But because our mind is used to that or is programmed for that, then we fall into that and we feel so agitated. So honestly, there was one day that I felt palpitations. I was in the morning, it's like, time is going to go by. I'm not going to be able to finish everything. I'm not going to be able to enjoy with the kids and to create everything that I like with the traditions. And I started to freak out. And I was one day, and I stopped it. I said, okay, it's not what is happening. I'm going to create my calendar. I'm going to get ahead of things. I'm going to organize myself. Everything is fine. And the problem when we get into that mode is that we get dysregulated automatically. We literally, and I have a couple of episodes this year, I had 2 amazing interviews related to emotional regulation, which I'm going to leave in the podcast notes this time because I feel they are going to be very useful if you are feeling the way that many of us are feeling during this time. But what I was going to say is that I have been learning a lot about this emotional regulation this year in particular, not only with those interviews, but also because I have been focusing this year on learning how to listen to my body, connect to my needs, and understand how it's all interconnected between my feelings and the way my body reacts, and sometimes the signs that we need to hear from our body. But anyways, one of the things that I feel when in those moments is that our body feels like we are under attack. When our minds are busy and we fall into this trap of like, oh, I need to be busy. Everything is going to be crazy over the next few weeks. I need to get ahead. Your body wants to protect you, so it gets hypervigilant, and you are constantly thinking that you're being attacked. like it takes it like you're being attacked because it wants to protect you and it wants to feel like you need to be responsive, you need to react, you need to be hyper vigilant. And in those moments it's like, okay, let me go back to my body, let me go back to myself, let me go back to my breathing. This year I discovered some really amazing apps. I have been using Soma Breath for some breath work, which I finished my no I so you get used to that, and your body is like, oh, I need to do, and then it's like, okay, no, let me remind myself that everything is fine. And it's interesting because we believe that we need many things to make Christmas. Like one of the things that takes more of our minds during this time is like we want to create memories for our kids, we want to make Christmas magical, we want to buy the gift that they want, we want to get ready for all the celebrations and everything. And if we would go back to, in these moments, I feel is the most important moment to go back to what really matters. And what really matters in the end for our kids is the feeling that they get, the overall feeling that they get, and the overall vibe that they get at home in this time of the year. So what's the point that you're going to focus in all the things that you need to do and finish and all of that and get super stressed out and fall into the trap of like doing, being busy that I was saying that I fall at the beginning of the season. I fall into at the beginning of the season. And what's the point if we're going to generate at home a very stressful environment that is not going to be positive for your kids later on? And I thought about it the other day because I was lying in bed with my son. He had just woken up. It was a weekend. We were just in bed with my 8-year-old Benji. And I love asking him the question of like, oh, what's the best that your life have right now? Like, what's the most important thing? What's the most special thing about your life right now? And he's very insightful, and he always has really, really beautiful answers to that. And the other day I was asking, is like, Benji, what's the best part of your life these days? And he said, without thinking, is like family, Christmas, and books. Like he's really into reading, and he mentioned the books as well. But the first thing he said was family and Christmas. And I thought about it because by then, this is just a couple of days ago, and back then he still hadn't received any Christmas presents. It's not like there has been anything particularly amazing and incredible that he was expecting and he got it, or that Santa already came and he got the dog that he's wishing for. Like nothing incredible has happened for him in his life in this period. But what has happened, and what I believe he was referring to, is the small moments that have happened. Like we had just the day before had put the Christmas tree, and it was a very special day. We put a lot of effort to like block everything else, and we made a very special day out of it. We put music, we made some Venezuelan food that we usually make as a family that day. And then the day after that, all my Venezuelan friends came, and we had again music out loud, many kids running around, and we were cooking a Christmas dish, like particularly for Venezuelans. And I felt he was referring to those moments. He was referring to the Christmas cards that we are about to do, that we keep talking about it, that we're going to do it for his school friends. He was referring to the atmosphere, the general atmosphere that he feels around Christmas. So it's a feeling that he has, and that's what I think I'm sure they will remember in the future. It's not going to be the toys they receive or the whatever they are expecting to receive from Santa or from family members. I feel what it really matters for them is the time that we spend as a family and the energy that they feel at home, that it's related to this time of the year, that they feel it is special, that they feel more connection, that they feel it's more like alive in terms of like more music and people coming over, in our case, that we cook the Venezuelan food. And it's really hard because I started talking on how busy things are for all of us. I mean, more in Australia, I would say, because it's the end of the year. So, for example, today I'm doing this and I have a lot of things to do for my business and for my podcast and everything. And tomorrow I'm going to be sitting in the Christmas concert in the end of the year concert as nothing is happening. Like, I just want to be there and enjoy the concert, but in my head and in everyone's head is going to be all the things that we are still doing. So in this moment where we feel really busy, we need to go back to what really matters and learn to really take care of ourselves with a couple of things that I'm going to mention that I feel are very, very important and very useful. to be able to remember what really matters and put a lot of effort in feeling good with ourselves, feeling grounded, and being able to have that presence for our kids. And create those beautiful memories that can be super simple, and that's what they are going to take in the end. Like, it's not going to be the noise that is around Christmas. It's going to be the special moments as a family. And the other day, I one of the and you know, one of the best ways that we can reach out that presence, and the best ways to access that ability to be really fully their presence, creating this atmosphere for our kids, is joining them. Many times we feel agitated. We are like, oh, I need to send this email, I need to finish this, I need to order that. Like, even recently, that was Black Friday, it was like everyone was asking, have you bought all the gifts, are you all sorted? It's like, and you get into the craziness. But the best thing in those moments is join the kids in what they are doing. I always say, like, kids are always present. So the other day, I had the opportunity to kids are always present. So when we join their world, when we join what they are doing, we are able to borrow that. We're able to join their presence and to enjoy fully there and put everything else on the side, even if it's for a few seconds or a few minutes or whatever amount of time we have. And it's interesting. The other day, I was going camping with my family, and we went to pick up the kids like an hour earlier to avoid the traffic that forms like after school pickup here. And I realized I didn't have marshmallows, and it's an important part of our camping trips because the kids love roasting marshmallows in the fire pit every night. So anyways, I told my husband I needed to stop quickly at the shopping center where the supermarket is, and Matthias, my son, was in the car already. We went to pick them up, and he's like, oh, I'll go with you, Mom, I'll join you, I'll go with you. So my husband dropped us super quickly in front of Woolies, the supermarket, and he went and parked somewhere. And I was, in my head, I was there, but in my head I was like, oh my God, I need to get this marshmallow super quickly. I need to do it because otherwise we're gonna get traffic. And we pick up the kids early. Imagine if we get the traffic and it was for nothing that we got the kids from school a bit early, and we need to pick up this marshmallow and we need to go. And Carlos is waiting for me, my husband. And where is he parking? And I'm thinking of all of this, walking with Matthias next to me and chatting. Say, yeah, we're gonna get the marshmallow, blah blah. When we were getting to the shopping center, there is this dog that he loved. And they know all the dogs in our neighborhood, but this one in particular is a dog that is always there. And he's like, he stopped and pat the dog for a little bit. I got to the shopping center and I realized that he wasn't with me, and he stopped with the dog. It was just a few steps ahead of him, and I had one of those moments of like, and I had one of those moments of like realization of like, I stopped myself from going and telling him to go, because that's what I do most times. I would have gone back and said like, let's go, we need to go. What are you doing? We need to rush. And then I said, you know what? He's doing what we all should be doing. He's being present. He knows the same facts that I know, but he also knows that it's going to take a few seconds to pat the dog, and then he's going to keep going. And I feel kids have that power. They can really be fully there. They don't have the same worries and emotions and concerns and to-do lists and everything that we adults carry around sometimes with us. He was simply there. He saw the dog. He stopped to pat the dog, and I was like, this is amazing. You know what? Because it only took him like even less than a minute it was. And I stopped and I didn't rush him. I stopped and thought about it. It's like, this is incredible. Because what's the worst that could happen? Like that we are a couple of minutes late to get the marshmallows and then head camping. Like nothing is going to happen. But it was a reminder on that kids are always fully there. And many times we're not. Many times we're living in our heads and everything that needs to be done and done. So anyways, I feel that's a great tip that I want to leave with you today, and I'm going to tell you a few more. But I feel when we join our kids, we can borrow some of that presence from them, and we can really be able to leave everything else on the side. And the other day, for example, I came back from school. We usually stay around near my kids' school. There is an amazing soccer field, and we usually stay around for a little bit. They run around, and then we come home. And lately, because this is a very busy time for my business, I have a lot of editing to do. So lately we come back, Matthias would do homework, Benji would get a book and he would read, or he loved doing origami or whatever he wants to do. And then I'll open my laptop and nonstop be editing and doing things. And the other day I said, I'm not going to do anything. I feel I need to take a bit of a pause and just be with them. So I put Christmas music. I closed my laptop. Well, I didn't open my laptop and left my phone in the kitchen. And we went to the playroom and we sat down and played Uno. They're really into Uno. And it was amazing. It was a few minutes of connection, being together, chatting about stuff that is happening. I have mentioned here how important it is to create those moments if we want our kids to open up with us as well, because it's much better for them to open when we are all doing an activity that is, they are feeling connected and we can all share stories from our day or whatever. So it was a really special, simple afternoon. And I really believe that that's gonna stay with them. And in the subconscious mind, I don't know if they're going to remember necessarily, that specific afternoon, but it all goes to the subconscious minds and in the memories that we create and the feelings that they get at home around this time of the year, that they might know, oh yeah, they are busy, but there is still time for this. And you might think, like many people, I have a flexible schedule, right? Because that day I didn't edit in the morning, in the afternoon when they were around, but then at night I had a very late night because I was editing at night. But many people can do that. If you're in an office, it's impossible to take a break and say, oh, I finish later, I'll come to the office later. It's just not possible. So I believe, and I think what we all need to understand is that it's not the amount of time, it's the micro moments that we find throughout the day to really connect and really be there for them and listen. And one of the things that happen is that the busiest that we are, the more we forget to connect with our body and regulate ourselves. And we need to be able to feel grounded and regulated to really be there. And when we are very busy, it's so easy that if you spend the day in the office, you come back home and your head is not there, you're not in the right headspace. So one of the other things that I wanted to mention that might be very useful in these moments of high demand and a lot of things that could be happening and things that you feel that you need to get done and stuff like that. I learned a lot this year about emotional regulation. I had two incredible I did two incredible interviews for the podcast. I had two incredible people coming to the podcast to talk about emotional regulation and co-regulation. And not only that, but I have been learning a lot this year. One of my intentions for my year of turning 40 was to connect more with myself, with my heart, with my intuition, with my body. So I have been really passionate to learn how to listen to my body. And one of the things that I have learned and that is really important anytime, but especially this time, is to find moments where we can, like, for example, one exercise that I do, and if you are going to, for example, one exercise that I do is when I go to pick up the kids, if I had a busy morning, I left things behind, I couldn't finish my podcast editing, I couldn't finish my pictures, I couldn't send that email, whatever, it's all in my head. And when I want to get there, I want to get there and be fully there for them. So one of the things that I do regularly is I do breathing exercise on the way to school. And if you're driving to a school pickup, you can do it as well. And it's a way to reconnect with yourself and to tell your body that you are safe. Because what happens many times when we have high demands like these days is that our body feels that it needs to be in hyper vigilance. It takes it like your body takes it as it's being attacked, like all these demands and to-do lists and the busy that your mind gets. Your body takes it as you're being attacked. And a way to protect it is to feel hyper vigilant. Like you feel that you need to be ready for whatever is going to happen, like that you need to be doing. And I feel, and one of the things that we can do is to remind our body that we are safe. And we do that by connecting with our body. And for example, breathing is a very easy way to do it because you breathe. And instead of being a breathing very shallow, when we are in moments of like high demand, our body takes it as when we are in moments of like high demand, and like Christmas right now, and for everyone, our when we are in moments of like high demand, like very demanding situations or moment, our body takes it as you're being attacked, and it gets into a mode that it feels it needs to be very hyper vigilant, and you need to be ready to respond at something, at an attack that is happening to you, and you need to be all ready and hyper vigilant. And one of the things that I feel it's really powerful, that I know is very powerful, and we all know that it's very powerful, is the breathing. And sometimes we forget about it, that when we are very agitated and busy, we get very shallow breath. But when we take a couple of deep breaths and take a couple of minutes to really breathe well and more slowly, it's a reminder that we send our bodies like, hey, you're fine, you're safe. And then you respond around you, and the way you interact in the world is different than when you are feeling all agitated, you are under attack. So it's something that I have been practicing with. I downloaded an app that I got recommended to, called Soma Breath, that I highly recommend. I did all the free ones, and now I purchased it as a gift for myself with the Black Friday sale, actually. And it's been really good. I enjoy it. I'm sure there are so many different apps, but this is for when we have a bit more time. Like I have been doing it in the morning when I come back from my yoga class or from the gym. But in the everyday that we're busy, we can simply take a couple of minutes to take a slower breath. Like we can do the 4-4-4, which is 4 seconds in, 4 seconds waiting, and 4 seconds out. Like there's so many small things that we can do in terms of our breathing throughout the day to remind our body that we are safe. I love when I do like grounding exercise, I would say. I can call it, like I'm sitting here and I remind myself where, okay, this is my body over the chair, my feet are over the carpet, I put my hands one with the other together, and those small things connect us with the present moment and remind us that we are fine, that we are here, that nothing is happening. And it's also the mindset that I described at the beginning, the mindset of like, it's fine, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna enjoy it, it's fine, it all happens here. Yes, I know it's very busy, but together with this and borrowing the presence from our kids, I think it all really helps for us to be able to be there more for our kids during the holidays, and to be able to find those moments of micro moments of connection. And I think, like many times, we get overwhelmed by creating the magic for our kids, and I feel also, as an immigrant, I have an extra baggage to hold, or an extra thing to hold during this time, that is the fact that I'm away from my family. I'm not going to see the family, the kids are not going to see the grandparents, and you get all that emotionally demanding series of thoughts that are not helpful either. And for you, it might be something else. So anyways, I feel we all have different situations, different contexts, and different emotions in Christmas. And yes, as I said, in the Southern Hemisphere, in Australia, we also have the summer and the end of the year, and it also happens at the same time. But even with all the things that could be happening in your life, I feel that it's very important to remember what really matters, to put the focus in what matters the most, and to remember that our kids are gonna remember a lot more the way they felt around this time of the year than anything that they might receive. So as I always say, we are all doing the best we can with the tools and the information that we have. And I hope that this little short episode for this time of the year is going to be helpful. I hope that you have a beautiful Christmas with your family. And I'll see you in the new year with my new interview that I recorded last week. And I'm very excited to start 2025 with that interview. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, remember to share it with someone that might enjoy it too, and subscribe to the podcast so you can get the latest episodes as well.